Making assumptions is part of the financial planning process. However, making the wrong assumptions can lead you down the wrong path and can absolutely torpedo your financial plan, your plan for retirement. What are some assumptions that your retirement software or financial planner is making that you don't even know about that are absolutely critical to your success? I got that and more coming up. Assumptions are dangerous.
You are making some very dangerous assumptions, Oscar.
The assumptions are dangerous. Making the wrong assumptions can make you've heard that saying. Assumptions are dangerous, and yet they're absolutely necessary in the planning process. This is not, I got to be able to guess right. I need to know right now exactly what they're going to do to Social Security in order to get it right. No, but you do need to make some informed assumptions about what the future could hold so that you have the right perspective and frame of mind to make decisions today. So planning ahead is critically important, and in order to plan ahead, you've got to have the right assumptions or appropriate assumptions about the future. When it comes to your retirement and being able to save appropriately for a confident and successful retirement, there are 5 variables, 5 decisions, and sure assumptions that you're making about the future. And these 5 are not assumptions that you can delegate to a software. They're not assumptions that you can delegate to your financial planner who you're entrusting to come up with the right strategy, the right plan, and tell you whether you're on track for retirement. These 5, we call them the 5 factors of retirement, you have to be involved in and say, yeah, this is the target. This is the retirement picture that I'm aiming at. However, in addition to these 5, within each, there are a ton of other small assumptions that likely you are not making, your financial planning software is making for you, or maybe your certified financial planner is making for you, and they are critical to your success. They're hidden, and yet they're assumptions nonetheless, and the wrong assumptions in those areas can really lead you to the wrong conclusion, wrong decisions, really, and wrong actions. Here at Korhorn Financial Group, these hidden decisions, these invisible assumptions, we bring them to the surface. Every single year, at least once a year, we review all of these sort of underneath the hood assumptions and make sure that we are aiming at the right targets and updating these as necessary. And the 3 that we're going to go over, it is critical right now that you update them. Now, before we get to those hidden assumptions, the 5 factors, right? These are items that need to be visible to you. And if you're not planning accurately for these 5 factors and how they interrelate and play off of each other and their trade-offs, then you don't know whether you're on track for retirement. This is essential. The 5 factors are: what age do you want to retire? Okay, what age do you want to retire? When do you want to be done? Often this starts with an ideal age, and then, but if I'm not ready, I certainly would expect to be ready by this. So sometimes there's a timeline or a time frame, but age, when do you want to be done? Second, what's your retirement lifestyle? So how much do you plan on spending every single month, or maybe what are some of the annual expenses, vacations, and other things that you would expect in retirement? So that's the second. Third, retirement income sources. How are you going to optimize Social Security? Will you have a pension? Are there going to be other income sources you're going to have in retirement? And fourth, how much do you have saved up for retirement? So your retirement nest egg. What do you currently have saved up? How much are you continuing to contribute between right now and when you plan to retire? So how much do you have saved up for retirement? It's the fourth one. And then lastly, how much investment risk are you comfortable taking with your investments, with that retirement portfolio? All of those 5 factors are interrelated. Yeah, they're 5 decisions that are, feel independent, but they're all connected in determining whether you have a confident, successful retirement, whether you're on track or not. For example, if you want to retire really early, you're going to need to save up a lot more or potentially spend less or make sure you have other retirement income sources, right? Versus, no, I plan to work until 70 or into my 70s. You might not need as much saved up, or you might be able to afford to spend a lot more because your retirement will be shorter. They play off of each other like that. They're interrelated. That's the 5 factors. You need to be very, very involved in those 5 factors and make sure that you're not delegating or assuming that your software is just getting it right. If you are assuming, if you're making assumptions about those 5 and you didn't play an active role in working with your CFP on these are my 5 factors, the output of that planning process is not custom fit for you. It's not tailored for you, and you don't know whether you are actually on track and doing the right things for your retirement. So that's baseline. That's table stakes when it comes to planning for retirement, the 5 factors. Now, what are some of those hidden assumptions that need to become visible, especially right now because things are changing? The first is the assumption about what healthcare will cost in retirement. Your healthcare costs in retirement. This is what many people believe will be their biggest expense in retirement. I actually think it'll be in the top 3. Probably not your biggest, but certainly if you have a major health event early in retirement or depending on your health history, it certainly could be. I think taxes will be your biggest, followed by maybe housing expenses. That's what the research shows. But healthcare in retirement is going to be in the top 3. And guess what, guys? Medicare Part B increased in premium by 10%, almost 10%. You round up 10% increase in Medicare from 2025 to 2026. So let me ask you, in your retirement planning, did you update that? Did you plan for that to happen? A 10% increase in medical expenses, healthcare expenses in retirement. I'm certain you didn't. No one had that on their bingo card. So the point is right now, are you updating your plan with this new information? Yes, absolutely. All of our plans here at Korhorn Financial Group will be updated with the new higher amount for Medicare Part B and the new assumptions for what overall healthcare is going to cost in retirement. You have an enormous choice, the biggest health insurance decision you're going to make in your life when you retire and get on Medicare. Will you go with traditional Medicare, Part A, B, D, and a supplement? Or will you go with Medicare Advantage or Medicare Part C, where you're paying the Part B premium, but also selecting a plan for Part C that maybe include prescription drug, maybe not. Those are very different cost structures, but the cost has increased significantly for one. You want to make sure you're planning appropriately. If not, if you say, well, I actually didn't even have that factored into that second factor, retirement spending, that's your homework. You got to make sure you add that line item. If you already do have that line item, make sure it's still accurate and you don't need to update these numbers with the big increase in Medicare Part B. A second hidden assumption in most plans is, what are you assuming for inflation? What are you assuming for inflation? Guys, this variable alone, if you were to plan on inflation being 2%, it will give you one output. If you were to plan on inflation being 2.25, your output would be completely different. Your projection for retirement will be completely different. Certainly 2.5, 2.75 versus 3. All of that, those you might feel like those are small changes. No. Over time, over decades, that is an enormous factor. So the question is, what are you planning for inflation in your plan out there in the future? And does that need to change over the recent history? Over the past 5 years, on average, the CPI has increased just under 5%. That's a lot. However, over the last 10 years, it's over 3%. Over the last 20 years, it's about 2.5%. So which of those are you basing your plan off of? Are you more sensitive and saying, yeah, what we've recently experienced is more than likely what we'll experience in the future, and therefore we need to update our plan or we need to assume inflation's going to be that in our plan? Or no, we'll come back to long-term averages. We can reduce it down to 2.5%. And I would say connected with this inflation is, are you updating your spending number? In reality, we have seen high inflation over the past 5 years. Are you still assuming the same retirement lifestyle, the retirement expenses that you were assuming 5 years ago, or have you adjusted that? This is often a hidden assumption. In order to plan correctly and have confidence, make sure you update that assumption. And then connected with that is the cost of living adjustment and that assumption that you assume on Social Security. We don't know how exactly Social Security is going to change. We don't know when either, but we do know it's going to change. Okay, we know it's going to change. One of the potential changes could be how they calculate the cost of living adjustment. They could also put caps in. They could make a lot of different changes. I've done a lot of content on the potential changes that could lie ahead, how you need to start planning today for that. Make sure you check those out. But You're going to want to, especially with, changes in inflation. Well, what's my plan assuming Social Security is going to be increasing by? I'll tell you, we have always assumed that your Social Security is going to increase at a lower rate than what overall inflation is. That's one way that we've built in a little margin and a little bit of conservatism into the retirement planning process, because if that is what happens, and we believe it's even more likely in the future, you want to be prepared and you want to make sure that doesn't shock your overall financial plan. The point isn't about making assumptions and being precisely right. However, it is about making appropriate assumptions so that you can plan ahead effectively. Making the wrong assumptions will ruin your plan. It will completely void the planning process, and you will not be prepared and doing the right things necessary to have a confident and successful retirement. Work with your certified financial planner who's doing comprehensive financial planning, and ensure that you're talking through these very clear assumptions, the 5 factors, but also the hidden ones. What other assumptions are being made within the software or within the tools that you're using that are impacting the output that maybe we need to update? Work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.